how do you feel about the fact that you have so many people looking at you?
I mean, I think it's dope. Like, it's unexpected and it's cool. Like you're saying, I don't think too much about it because I'm just doing it because it's fun and it's a passion. And it started off as something to learn different types of skills and that I could apply, whether it was marketing or branding. You know what I'm saying? That was the idea going into it. It was a way to practice marketing and branding and learning those skills that will translate later on, but combining it with something I was passionate about and something I loved and something I want to be around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but then it just kind of, evolved and grew and took on like a life of its own, and I really couldn't keep ignoring to do it more so for the music side as well.
So take us back. When did officially start?
Just January of 2019, so like a year ago. So really, just in that year, it really just grew really fast. But because I was doing a show before that with my friend Dave, and that's kind of like where I started getting like the basis of how to do an interviewing and how to do like the radio and how to do a show. Because that was more of just like of a pop culture, just like we were just talking about different subjects. And then we started bringing in a couple people to interview. I think the first person we interviewed was, I forget his name, but he was like a graphic designer. He was at the Social Media Summit too. And then I had like DJ Hook on there and a couple other people. But we were doing hour-long interviews, and I was like, so when I started doing my own show, I'm like, I can't do an hour-long interview. It became way too much, and you're just trying to come up with things in your ideas, and you're forcing things, especially if the person isn't really bouncing back and forth. And then, so me and Dave were like, you know what, we kind of want to go our separate ways and do our own creative things. Like, we're still really good friends, but we decided, we weren't just the best fit to do a show together. And that's when I came up with, the Garden State Hip Hop Hour. And I think from there, it just kind of, like I said, it just kind of grew.
Oh, I'm just like, why hip hop?
It's passion. Like, I just love hip hop. I've always loved hip hop since a kid. I've always been attracted to it. Just, even though I didn't really grow up, obviously, like, in a hood or like, saying in those kind of situations, I still feel like the music could be applied to anything. I feel like I could walk in an office and be listening to like Pop Smoke and it's just gonna energize me and make me feel gangster. I'm just gonna take this whole shit over, So it's just kind of like that mood and the energy it gives you, So that's kind of why I guess I was always attracted towards hip hop.
What album or what artist would you say inspired you the most?
Inspired me the most? Like, I feel like it changes all the time. I think lately, like this year again, like I've been listening to like just Pop Smoke. Like his album kind of like got me through like the last half of last year, just like all the energy it brings and just like just firing you up and pumping you up and just getting you ready to go about your day and take over, I just really like kind of music that just really just energizes me and makes me feel like, yeah, fuck this, I'm the man. I'm about to destroy everything I go by,
What about as a kid? Do you have any?
Oh, as a kid? Actually, I think my favorite album as a kid was Fabulous, Ghetto Fabulous, Ja Rule, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Right.
Like a lot of stuff, G-Unit, a lot of Lloyd Banks, a lot of Cassidy, a lot of like the battle rap back then, mixtapes, Big Mike. So it just really varied, a lot of R&B, so it just kind of like varied. It's hard to think back to that far back, Yeah. But like a lot of like New York music, a lot of East Coast music is kind of like what I was always drawn to.
Were you born and raised in New Jersey?
Yeah, so I grew up in like Keensburg, and then for high school, I came here to South Amboy, and then after that, I went to the Army. So from there, I was like, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Texas. So I started moving around the country, meeting people from all over the world. So then I just started listening to like all kinds of different music and meeting all people from different cultures and experiences places outside of just, New Jersey. So even with that, I feel like my taste in music grew and expanded, and I got a feel for what, everyone else listened to as well. It was, molded and inspired by like these different types of music from all over the country. So, back to what you said, inspires, I'm sorry. A lot of Southern music, because around that time you got like, the Ludacris's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Ludacris's album, what was the name of the album? Where he had like the big afro in the front of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember at the moment, but yeah, like that was like an album I was heavy with too as a kid.
He started off as an intern at a radio station and blew
Yeah.
up from there.
Yeah, isn't it just like Lala or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously we see what she's doing right now.
Right.
So.
Word of mouth?
Word of mouth, yes.
But
Roll Out, that was my song back then.
tell us more about your days in the Army, because I feel like this last year on Veterans Day, you posted a picture of you, back in, I believe, like Iraq.
Yeah, right.
And I know that a lot of people were very surprised that you had that background, that you are a veteran.
Yeah.
So elaborate on that, on your experience over there.
Let's see. I think that's really, like I said, like where I grew as a person, and really where I feel like it gave me a bigger mindset and a chance to, you know, like I said, experience more so of the world. I feel like I was taken from like a little small town mindset, growing up in a place like South Amboy, to, you know, expanding my views and being open to people from all different cultures, learning how to work with them, and just, you know, meeting people from all over the world. Which even with doing the Army stuff, I think it's helped so much with what I'm doing right now, because I am able to push this music to people from all over the world, not just like on a Jersey basis. I have access to people all over who pay attention to what I'm doing. So I feel like that created a bigger platform for me to give artists a chance to be heard of outside just like an audience here in the state itself, or New York or Pennsylvania, you know, tri-state. But yeah, the military, like, I got to give my life to the military, because like I said, everything I learned about life, I feel like I learned there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's experiences there I'll never get nowhere else. Like, you know, you're taught real loyalty. You're taught, like, you know, just like brotherhood, and just how to, you know, socialize with people from anywhere, with any kind of background, any kind of culture. You know what I'm saying? You're forced to be next to people. Like, I might have just met you today, but tomorrow we're getting shot at together. You know what I'm saying? So right. That creates a whole different level of, like, you know, bonding and trust that I feel like you can't get anywhere else.
Shit.
So, like, there's so much I could say about it, but it's hard to explain, because it's just so much me that when people ask me questions about it, you know, it's hard to exactly, you know, translate or put it out there. I can never say in words how much it affected my life or changed my life or made me a better person.
During your time in the military, did you see yourself kind of doing what you're doing right now?
Not necessarily, but like, I've always been around music. So even in the Army, I was the person out there, like, with my little phone, recording little freestyles we were doing, trying to make beats, trying to record little videos. Like, I was still always doing that. I was in Iraq with my little camera I bought, like, and bombs are coming in, and I'm sitting here trying to record someone rapping. You know what I'm saying? So even then, I didn't necessarily see this. I still didn't see this. When I started school, or when I decided to go back to school, like, this wasn't the goal, this wasn't the plan. I wasn't planning to do music. Even when I started the show, it was just, like I said, it was a passion and a way to practice other skills. When I went back to school, my plan was, and my plan still is eventually, to, you know, go to school, get a degree, and work for the VA and be able to help out other veterans. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, with that military background and those connections and feeling that connection with those people, I know what they're going through. I know what I went through. But I still feel like I came out well enough that I could go in and help people that didn't come out as well, or were struggling to figure out how to, you know, improve their life or make their life better once they left the military. So I wanted to go and help those people, and I still plan to eventually. But like I said, once I realized this music thing and the show and just the networking I started doing was really hitting, I was like, oh, wow, I could actually do this. You know what I'm saying? Because when it comes to like a creative career, like, we don't always think like, oh, you know, it's possible, it's out of reach, or it's not the easiest path, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not like, go to school, get this job, then get that job, especially in the music field. As Franklin probably knows, like, it's just a matter of like just finding your own way and creating your own path, and it can be scary at the same time as it is, you know, scary.
If it's not scary, it's not big enough, though.
You're right. But you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the creative dream is always the harder one to, like, say, yes, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to chase down, rather than one that provides you security, which is something I've been used to my whole life. You know what I'm saying? With the military and working various jobs, I never had to worry about money. My bills were always paid. But with, like, a music career, you don't always know necessarily where that next dollar bill is going to come from. But then I was like, fuck it. Let's just try it and see what happens. Because 50 years from now, I'd rather say, hey, I tried, than possibly that, oh, you didn't even bother trying.
How do you feel like hip-hop has changed from, I guess, being a kid to kind of where it is now?
I just feel like it's always changing. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be completely different tomorrow. It's like where you get trends and waves. Like I said, like growing up early, a lot of the music that was really hitting, that was really on the radios at the time, was Southern music, whether it's the T.I.s, the Ludacris's, and all those type of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now we're back to a point where New York is really popping. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a lot of that New York drill, and then obviously West Coast music. But I don't know. It's hard to say because music is always evolving. It's always changing, and we all have our personal taste. So even what's out in the world or what's changed you didn't change me, because maybe I was never listening to what you were listening to, or maybe what you were listening to, I wasn't listening to. You know what I'm saying? So vice versa. So it's hard to say exactly how it's changed because it's all about your personal preference. Like my preference kind of changes all the time. Like I might listen to one album for a month and then never listen to it again. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say exactly how it's changed because I think it's subjective. You know what I'm saying?
What about here in Jersey though? Because you're
gonna ask that.
probably one of the biggest talk show hosts in New Jersey for hip hop.
One of them, yeah.
One of them.
Shout out, Blades and Bars. Blades and Bars, they're doing their thing too. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to them. But how do you think that hip hop is evolving or has evolved in Jersey from what you've been paying attention to?
Just it's Jersey. I don't know, like the music is like
missing. You know,
it's hard to say what is missing. I mean, obviously you always get the it's not New York and yada 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 thing. I just feel like kind of like a different energy. Like when I like interview artists from New York and Jersey, you know what I'm saying? And I love Jersey music, but like I've had interviews with people in New York where I'm playing their music and they're getting hype as hell to it right there. They're singing along to it, they're bouncing to it, they're dancing to it, and it's creating like a whole mood that just creates a whole energy charge in a room. And then there's time I'm interviewing people in Jersey, it's like I'm playing their song, it's like it's almost as if the song's not even on. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of crazy to me because if I was hearing my own song, I'd probably be hyped as hell right there. You know what I'm saying? Singing along because even if you're doing it just to flick your camera on real quick and create yourself some quick content, you know? But as far as Jersey music, I mean, there's a lot of good music. I feel like there's not like any specific sound or a wave ever really too much in Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Like whether you're talking about New York, it's like a New York drill, or you're saying in the South with the Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? They have like waves and things going on. In Jersey, it's almost like every artist pretty much sounds different. And there's not really like any big super group. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're talking about like an 800 foreign side, there's like a bunch of them and they're all pushing that one wave and all these artists in this group and they're all kind of popping. But in Jersey, I can't really think of just like one like, yeah, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Everyone wants to do them and everyone wants to be different and be themselves. But like a lot of artists are working together and there's like a lot of great music coming out the state right now. You know what I'm saying? So Jersey's just very unique, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas other states or other places I feel kind of like work together. Here, they might work together or, you know what I'm saying, be supportive, but it's not really translating necessarily into the music. We don't got as many artists that burst right away. I don't know if we necessarily get that same love, and whatever the reason may be, I don't know. I don't know if people are hating on Jersey, not hating on Jersey, or if necessarily the radio stations aren't really in Jersey, which could be which could be part of the issue. But like we might have a song here that's buzzing or hot, or we think it's hot, but it's not gonna get the radio play. It's not gonna be pushed right away. If you look up, and I just keep using these people as examples because a lot of music I'm listening to, but like, you know, 504 and Big Drip, it drops, and then it's like the entire like state, radio stations, everyone pushes it out, and now it's this huge song. And there's no difference between that and maybe a song that comes out of Jersey, like Monarch by Crutch Calhoun, which is fire, but it doesn't necessarily have an entire force behind it pushing it, and now he's everywhere, now he's XXL, or the hottest person coming out, or on every Future, or everybody's trying to like get with him, you know what I'm saying, to make music with. So I feel like New York just has that behind them, and it just could be because it's New York City. They have all the radio stations, they have all the TV studios, they have, you know, all that network and entertainment right there in the state itself. You know what I'm saying? They don't gotta travel.
We had somebody in a different interview say something along the lines of like, artists in Jersey don't really like work well together. Whereas like when you think about like how you mentioned like boroughs in New York,
yeah.
Like, when one borough's popping, like everybody's pushing that and working hard, and whereas like Jersey doesn't have that same flow where like people will like push people around them. It's not like they're hating, but it's like it's more just like, yo, I know what I'm doing is cool, so I'm gonna push myself. So they're not looking to push other people around them as well. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, but you got to get yourself. How are you supposed to help other people if you're not even moving yet? You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily like if you're not that popping, how are you really gonna make someone else popping? You gotta focus on yourself. And it's also not as centralized, like you said. Like we talk about boroughs, it's kind of like a borough. It's kind of like it's like one little area. They could probably easily move around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, or they're in, you know, saying certain living areas. In Jersey, if I'm in Rahway and you're in Newark, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna walk over there and we're gonna work together. Right. What if you don't got a car? What if you don't got a way of transport, or whatever the case may be? You know what I'm saying? We all go through different things, so it's not as easily accessible. Just to like bounce around and maybe even get you, or we didn't really grow up around you. If we're from the Bronx, if we're all from the Bronx and we grew up in the same neighborhood, you're saying we just know each other. It's easier. It's not like you're from the Bronx and you're from Queens. Like you're less likely to work together because it's like a different area. Now you got to travel. You don't really know each other personally. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
these artists do work well together when they personally know each other. It's no different in New York in that sense.
Demographic, like the
Subway
artists-
system.
Yeah, there's a subway system,
think
buses.
about that.
Like we have the transit, but like it only goes a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Or now you gotta go this one to that one, so it's not necessarily as convenient or as easy. You know?
That's true.
That's true. That does have a lot to do with it. But you know, I do agree that, right, this is at least what I think. Jersey does have this stigma of like being like a bad version of New York or like a shitty state. You know what I'm saying? Even, I don't know if you guys saw that hip hop show on Netflix with Cardi, Chance, and
With
T.I.
No, I didn't see it, but yeah, I heard about
You
it. Yeah.
haven't watched it? Bro?
Nah.
But there was this one episode specifically where they were in New York trying to qualify rappers, right? But what happened was that every time a rapper wouldn't qualify, they'd be like, instead of telling, because when a rapper would qualify, they'd be like, you're going to LA. When a rapper wouldn't qualify, they'd be like, you're going to Jersey. So like,
what?
think about that. And that's a national. The whole country, the whole world's watching that show.
I don't know why.
Damn, they said
They said that. They were like, you're going to Jersey. As a joke. And they would laugh. But I feel like culturally that adds to the stigma of, it affects
Jersey
rappers.
is hot.
It affects artists in New Jersey. Something as little as that. Because it's not little. It's
Puts them down.
Also, we have to talk about, like, if you talk about I mean, I personally fuck, and I know a lot of us here mess with a lot of Jersey artists, right?
Yeah.
We ride for them. But other people, like, if you look at, like, the kind of scale or audience that people, like, artists from Jersey draw, like, if you try and compare them to some artists in New York, there's not really comparisons. Like, New York just draws more of a crowd. And I think it does go with the stigma of, like, the whole, oh, it's New Jersey, yo. Like, but if we think about, like, who's the last most poppin', like, hip-hop rap artist to come out of New Jersey, you know?
Fetty.
Like, Fetty, but his rise and drop was pretty quick, so, like...
But you got like Quilla Ray.
Yeah, and
SZA.
that's what we would. I think most of us here would put Coil Ray as our number one in Jersey right now, as terms of like pushing out stuff and being from New Jersey. But like when you compare her to like somebody else who started around the same time as her from New York, she doesn't have as much draw. Like I feel like a lot of people don't know who Koi is, and it's a damn shame because her music is crazy. So it's.
But I mean, I don't know. Like it could be just like I said, location. Like it's easier to you have like you said SOBs, or you have all these venues in New York that are like known, possibly even nationally, or even more so regionally. And again, it's easy to get there. What venue can you name off the top of your head in Jersey right now that holds hip hop events?
exactly. I can't.
And then if you could think about it, is it easy to get to? Can I just hop on a subway? Can I hop on like a bus and get to it necessarily? And who really even wants to hop on a bus though? Like, you know, in Jersey, like maybe in New York is regular, but people here, there's a stigma around using a bus here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the train's only gonna take you to a certain area.
I want to go back to kind of when you first started
Okay.
doing interviews, because like for us, it was just we just went for it. We just started doing it, and honestly,
Wait, who was your first interview?
This kid Fuego Don.
I think for some reason I want to say Favo, who's a Spanish artist.
Like
Who-
Spanish.
like completely Spanish.
Oh wow. Like
Yeah.
reggaeton.
Like completely Spanish music. Like I didn't understand none of his music, but like I don't speak Spanish, but like
Right.
music is universal, and I understood the flow and I understood the beat, and it sounded cool.
What was that like as your first interview?
That was dope, and I named one of his songs. That I was like, oh yeah, this is like my favorite song of yours. I think it was Like This or Like That. I forget. And he's like, oh, it's because that one got some English in it. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like it was interesting, but my bad. Go ahead.
No, you go. What were some of the biggest challenges starting out?
Learning how to interview, I guess, right? Learning how to listen and not just necessarily just jump in with a completely unrelated question. At first, getting artists up there, because obviously I just started doing it. So I would have a lot of cancellations or people just like blowing me off, or, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't necessarily taken as seriously. So I think really just even getting people to come onto the show, really. Learn a good way, because like I said, at first I started doing hour-long interviews. I'm like, no, this doesn't work. So even learning that format of that, doing all the research, making sure, not being afraid to ask certain stuff, because you, as a person, like if I know you or I'm just talking to you, maybe I avoid certain stuff that I think is controversial, or I think you might not want to talk about, or I think is not appropriate. But starting to do interviews, you learn that, like you said, you're unbiased and you're just trying to get a story out of them. So you just gotta learn to ask some of those harder questions and just see what they say. If they're bothered or offended by it, you know what I'm saying? They might say like, hey, if beforehand they might be like, hey, you know, don't ask about this, or you know what I'm saying? Or I'll kind of try to talk beforehand to see what the energy is towards certain type of topics. So just I guess learning like those lines and those boundaries necessarily to give a good interview, but also not maybe like step on toes or just create a bad vibe because you don't want that. So I guess like that part of it I guess would be the hardest, and obviously like I said, getting people onto the show when I just started, because who am I?
Tell us about your life outside of the radio station. You mentioned, you went to Iraq after high school, and you were born and raised in New Jersey. But what do you currently do outside of hip hop, or is your life that right now?
No, right now, yeah. I mean, that has to be it, because my goal now is to eventually work, in the music industry, and to keep making the show bigger and better, and just keep building my own brand. And you can't do nothing without like going into it 100%. So most of my days when I'm not in class or doing that stuff is spent on trying to generate new ideas or generate new connections or try to go to certain events. So no, like my life is like 100% this right now, because if it wasn't, then how would it get bigger? How could it be what I want to do with the rest of my life if I'm not completely focused on it right now? You know what I'm saying? Like I want to spend the next rest of my life around music, surrounded by music. And to get there, I need to give it my full focus. So outside of it, like I said, it's all day, every day, thinking like ways to brand, ways to, network with people, ways to get different artists and newer artists on there. Even now, like ways to expand out of Jersey and trying to find artists to interview, in other states or different places. So that way it can just grow, because you don't want to be in a box. It's like you guys don't interview just artists, you know what I'm saying? So once I kind of like established the Jersey thing and kind of like built a name brand and kind of built some kind of like, I guess, authority doing this, now the idea is to take that and see if I could grow it outside of here. Can I get that same respect? Can I get these same artists? Can I get the same kind of love, moving past just this? Because like you said, like we talked about earlier, there is no really music labels in Jersey. There is no like radio stations, really like, major radio stations in Jersey that are hip hop. So I need to get my name known as well outside of here. So that's the move.
It's a great answer, bro. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you thought to say. Like, you got to give it 100%. I'm sure whatever you guys want to do the rest of your lives, like, I'm pretty sure, like, there is no what about when the show is over. Yeah. That's just one piece of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not over. It's never over. That is my life, Right. So
from the time you started till right now, what would you say is like the most memorable moment? Maybe like a defining moment in that.
Yeah, that's easy. Like when like Crush Calhoun brought me on stage with Dave East. So I mean, like for me, like
Just recently, right?
Yeah, that was just like a couple weeks ago, right? I think so. It was out there in the PlayStation Theater in Times Square. Like for me, it was like, okay, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like this person here like respected me enough to like, say, hey, here's, the All Access Pass. Brought me up there with like his whole team, you know what I'm saying, and gave me the ability to be there, literally inches from Dave East, a person that I love listening to, a person, you know what I'm saying, one of my top artists, to be there on stage with him. So for me, that was just a moment. And then knowing people were at the show and they're like, oh, I saw you on stage, what are you doing up there? It kind of like, it's not like a big head or like that, but you know the feeling. It's like, oh wow, like it just feels great, you know what I'm saying, to get to the point that people are like, yeah, come here with me or be on stage, or, you know what I'm saying, I respect you enough, or I appreciate what you've done for me as well, that now in turn, let me do this for you or help you out with this, you know what I'm saying? So for me, and Crush Calhoun is also one of my favorite artists. So just to even be there while he had his moment performing in Times Square, because I've seen him perform, at little venues, you know what I'm saying? I saw his last show that he did in Jersey before he went on with the world tour with Dave East, the Survival Tour. So to see his last show in Jersey and see him perform in different places, and then to see him perform in that moment alongside like a Dave East was just, to me, it was just like, I was like surreal, you know what I'm saying?
To me,
like
that was a special moment.
Yeah, because like I was like, can I hit him up? I'm like, yo, I bought a ticket to the show, because I was like, when I saw his name, I was like, you know what I'm saying, it's right there, it's available. I was like, I'm gonna buy a ticket just to support, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And I hit him up like, oh, is there any way you can help me just get like, close? I was like, yo, can you just help me get closer to the stage? Because I didn't want to be like pull up and, with tickets, they have like different times to let people in, whatever. I didn't want to end up like way in the back. I wanted to be close. And he's like, nah, I got you. I'm gonna get you, the backstage pass, like just like that, like not any kind of back and forth. And I was like, oh, word, all right, cool. And then I pulled up to the event, and he had his manager come down and give me the wristband, and it was lit. So Yeah, so that was just a dope moment. Yeah, shout out to Crutch Calhoun. Like, that really was like such a surreal like moment for me, because it's like it's not everyone gets to be up there and do that and be that close. You know what I'm saying?
It's amazing.
And then to see someone grow like that as well.
And that just goes to show kind of the name you've built for yourself so far. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the show, but you also have your personal brand and kind of just you as an individual, right? People know you for who you are. You know, is that something that you pay attention to, like your personal brand?
In what sense?
As far as like, you know, like Rebel, right?
Okay.
You can build Rebel. But I don't really put my face out there. As
Okay.
I'm the owner of Rebel, this and that. Like, they're your personal brand.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like that just came along. Like, I got it tatted on me too. Like,
That's lit.
yeah. So, yeah, of course, I think you have to, right? Like, because you want your brand to represent a certain type of thing. So, and kind of like what I built my brand on is just showing love and appreciation and respect. Like, you'll rarely see me in an interview try to throw shade at anybody, or even if I know people have beef with each other, I won't really bring it up. You know what I'm saying? I won't drive the conversation in that direction. So yeah, I do think about my brand. So even now at the point where I'm inviting people onto the show, I don't just invite anybody, because now I can't, if you're not working hard, or if I don't think you're doing enough yourself, I'm not going to have you come up to my show and make someone else miss out on it, or give me just not the best look. You know what I'm saying? Whereas at first, when I first started doing the show, whoever said yes, I was like, come up. I didn't care who you were, because I was just trying to build up to this point, you know? So my personal brand now involves being more selective and the ability to do that. So yeah, I definitely think about my personal brand. Like even my Instagram, like when I first started doing it, I would post like stuff and delete everything, and I was not trying to have nothing on it. But now if you see my Instagram, like, everything is music related or interview related or somehow related to my show and my brand. Only once in a while you might see me put something personal up. You know what I'm saying? Or even just a picture of me. But like, except for that time with the military thing. But to me, because that was another important aspect of my life. But yeah, so I've kind of built the brand up around all that stuff. I do think about stuff thoroughly, even when I'm doing stuff like playlists or creating the covers to my playlist or creating like graphics for my page. Or when we're doing the edits for the interviews, I do need them and want them to look a certain way and a certain quality, and that's why I went and found, people that were willing to help me with my show with the videography. Shout out to Gene in Asia, because they had kind of like a similar vision to me, and like saying they were willing to help and put their all into it as well, and make it look super official the way I want it to look. So I wouldn't just have anybody come up and film my show. Yeah. So again, like I'm sure you guys won't just have anybody come work for your brand, or because they represent your brand as well now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, just being way more selective now, paying way more attention, and just putting stuff out there a certain way. Yeah, those are all things I do take very important, very meticulous. Like I said, I do this 100% of the time. My brain's working all day, so that is my brand to me. I need it to look and come off a certain way. Even when I talk to certain people, I only talk like a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Because every conversation represents who you are in your brand. So if I'm talking to a networking person or about music, I'm just gonna like just watch what I say, you know what I'm saying, or talk a certain way, or present myself. I'm always real and I'm always me, but there's also like that line where you need to be at when you do have a brand, because one wrong word, one wrong comment, one wrong graphic, especially in today's world, you're done. You know what I'm saying?
So you're just very aware of
I'm very, 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 very aware. And that's why I try to help with these artists too. I'm like, when they ask for an interview or come up to the show, I'll look at their page and I'll be like, no, why? Like, why should I know you? Why should I have you on the show? Look how serious I'm taking my brand, but when I look at your page, I can't even tell you do music. You know what I'm saying? So it's never shade back. I hope when I say it or when I talk to them, it's taken as like, constructive criticism and wanting them to get better, or giving them a piece of advice maybe that they could think about themselves, because people tell me stuff all the time too, and I take it like more like constructive criticism. Like my friend Dave is the one that helped me, really get my Instagram off a certain way, because I would just put pictures up, delete them. He's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, who cares? Like, no one's really paying attention, but people are paying attention, and they do pay attention to what you delete as well. So.
But that's what I admire about you, is that you understand the power of networking, but more so than that, the power of supporting people.
Yeah.
The reason why people, I think, love you so much is because they know that you support them.
Yeah.
They know that you're very supportive. You don't care about sharing something on your story or giving them a shout out or, and I think.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, why? Like, people like, oh, share it, or I can't share this, or I won't share that, or to ignore you. It's like, why? It takes like 3 seconds to share. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't hurt me. And if it's music related, or it's a way for you to actually make the extra dollar, or find an internship, or find a job, like, it's my story. It goes away in 24 hours. Like, who cares? So if people send me stuff like, oh, can you share this? Like, 99% of the time I do. Maybe the 1% is if I'm working, or I'm just busy, or just like, it just slips on my mind. You know what I'm saying, at the moment. But yeah, my whole platform is support. Like, my whole platform, it's interviewing. It's about the artist. Like, what is really about me? If I do a playlist, what about that is about me? It's y'all music. You're saying when I do interviews, it's helping y'all as well. You're saying it's giving you content, giving you a platform to tell who you are and tell your story. It does help me as well, obviously, because it helps me find, work within the music industry or build my brand and my name. But at that point, it's helping you just as much. You know what I'm saying? And then in turn, I'm promoting it. I'm moving it. I'm making sure people are seeing it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's support based. Like, I love supporting people. I love helping people. And I feel like I know enough that they might not know that I could maybe help them get an extra show or help them get one extra listener. And that is, like, my goal. And part of my love for hip-hop, why I wanted to start doing this was I love hip-hop and I love just helping people. And it's a good blend.
Yeah, man. What advice would you have for an upcoming artist, not in Jersey, but in general? From what you've learned.
number one. I think about it all the time, and it gets me so mad, so mad, and I don't get why. All these platforms they put their music on. Okay, so I do the playlist, right?
Right.
So I might find an artist, love their song, love their music, go to their about, and there's not one social media available for me to find them. Now my journey with you is over. You lost the possibility of another fan. And almost like 90, I would say the number is that high. Like 9 out of 10 artists have no social media inside their about me, and like in Spotify, which is the platform I mostly use when I create playlists. Why? The idea of anything is to keep you on their platform being them as an artist. Like if Franklin's the rapper, Franklin needs me to keep me on Franklin's pages. So I find a Spotify, he has his Instagram, his Twitter, his Facebook, everything I click is him. It's one big circle. He's keeping me engaged with him in different ways to find out about them. So I would say that's absolutely number one because that frustrates me so much. Because sometimes I can't even tag artists when I do a playlist because their Instagram name or their Facebook name might not be the same as, their Spotify name or Apple Music or whatever platform they're on. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, right? Like, isn't that like, I feel like that sounds so small. And it's not to take away from people. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's where it goes back to me doing this and me being able to maybe say that to somebody that they just didn't think of. It happens. There's little things I don't think about. And someone points out, I'm like, oh, duh, that was so stupid. Why didn't I do that? But first off, I would say that's number one. Please put your Instagram name or something. I can't even tag you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might put you on playlists with like 7,000 followers. And now it doesn't matter because no one could find you on Instagram where most of us spend a lot of our day on.
So you're on the Garden State Hip Hop.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Obviously, make your pages look like it's about music. There's certain artists, you go to their page, and there's nothing related to music. There was a song I found today. I guess a bunch of people knew about it. I didn't know about it. It was like a song by Smooth L. I don't know if you guys heard of him.
I haven't heard of him.
So listen to the song, and someone sent it to me. I'm like, oh, what's his Instagram? Let me try to find it. So I typed in Smooth L, but there was nothing in his page related to that song. So I was like, I think this is his page because the name matches. It kind of looks like him, but I can't find nothing about this song on his page. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, or maybe I couldn't find it quick enough, which is also matters because obviously we have a small attention span. So, like I said, social media is super, super, super obviously important. Being cool, being nice. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone says thank you, your song is dope. Like a reply will make that person probably stick with you way longer because now you kind of have like that personal like, oh wow, that person said like acknowledge what I said to them. They weren't just like a dickhead, and maybe they're not even being a dickhead. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they just whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So just being more, interactive and engaging and properly reaching out to people. I have people hit me up all the time. I need an interview or I need to be on your playlist or why am I not on your playlist? A, why? You're saying, and not disrespectful, but why? Why is it not like, hey, I need an interview. This is who I am. This is what I've done. Here's some of the milestones. You know what I'm saying? Just something that I could be like, what's your story? And give me a reason. You know what I'm saying? Why? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Not just like, I need an interview. First off, that sounds like mad aggressive. Yeah. So now, more than 9 times out of 10, I'm just not even paying attention to you. And if I'm not paying attention to you, then obviously the bigger names aren't going to pay attention to you then. So, yeah, definitely like, why? And then follow up, give information, why? Like, if someone's like, hey, I want to be on rebleTV, you guys are going to be like, why? Like, you know? Well, damn, I had something else on my mind. Why am I not on your playlist? You never sent me music. You never engaged in my page. You don't even follow me. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not no shade, but what's that stat? They said like 40,000 new songs are dropped every day, like on Spotify or whatever, you know, platform it is. What are the odds of me finding your song if you're not like a national artist or a name brand artist or some kind of powerful marketing team behind you? So it's like, why am I not on your playlist? Because I don't know who you are. You haven't gave me a reason to know who you are. You haven't tagged me. You haven't even tried to engage with me. You haven't even done nothing like a picture. And who cares about that stuff really? But those are kind of things that do get you to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I guess some things like that.
Would you say that being at Kane and taking marketing classes, social media, has helped you in your career?
No.
Be completely honest. Why
No. It's just YouTube is powerful. I don't know. I just don't feel like a lot of stuff necessarily. There are some things obviously that you do learn. I haven't took really many marketing classes. I think I've taken like one, so maybe that's the issue. I just felt like it just didn't really apply to me and what I was trying to do. Because when you take like a marketing class, right? Unless you take maybe a specific one, like for music or whatever your case may be, it's just teaching you generalized stuff, which is cool. Like I'll find ways to apply it. So I don't want to completely say no. I'll say I haven't really taken any, but I feel like, and I don't mean to say it like in a certain kind of way. That's why I don't try to come up. I just feel like a lot of stuff comes to me like common sense. So it's like a lot of stuff I learn most of the time that they teach, because since it is so general, most likely I know it already, or I've done it already, or I've watched a YouTube video on it already before I came to your class. You know what I'm saying? But what's common sense to me and what just comes to me naturally or to you naturally doesn't come to everybody. So I will never discourage someone from taking those classes. You know what I'm saying? Because they may help someone tremendously. You got to know how to apply it to your situation. And it may not make sense necessarily, but there is, I'm sure you've drawn little things that have helped. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like I said, I don't know. Different stuff works for different people. Because there are people out there that are like, oh, this shit helped me 1,000%. Like, for me, my favorite class so far probably at school has been persuasion. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's not a marketing class, that's nothing, but, like, it does apply to a lot of what I'm doing. Because you need to persuade people. And it's not about social media, but you need to persuade people to get onto your social media. Those little things that you could draw from. All those little theories and stuff like that. If you think about how they apply to you, they matter. If you're just there just to be there, like, just to fly through, then obviously you're just like, it's a theory, who cares? So I'll try to draw inspiration or how to use it from like every little thing. You're saying I could look at this room right here and then just like certain like things I might look at and be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I could use this. Or this would be cool right over there. Or this would be a great way to use this space right here. You know what I'm saying? So my eyes are always open. My ears are always open to every little situation, to every room I'm in, wherever I'm at. Because I'm going to draw something. Something's going to inspire me. It's just the way I am.
So not everybody has that.
Yeah, I mean, just again,
everybody's different.
I also can be a doctor, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, like it just depends on what you want to do in life, and you gotta hopefully, and when you are 100% with it, you'll figure it out.
And just like kind of,
yeah, like you took a clothing brand and you turned it to this. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody might not draw that line. Mm-hmm. So I just think we all have, once you really love something or realize it's kind of what you want to do, those things are gonna come to you naturally. It's just, you got to find exactly what that passion is. And for some, they find it fast. Some people, they find it later. Like, I jumped into it, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this like at a later point in my life. You know what I'm saying? After doing the military, after doing these other things, you know what I'm saying? And some people out there, like 18, 19 years old, and they know right there. So you just got to live on your own timeline, and you got to figure out what that passion is. And once you can do that,
like a 16, 17-year-old
bro, what's that 8-year-old making millions of dollars opening toys? Like, didn't we all love opening toys? Like,
there's like toy reviews, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. Is that what he does, or
Yeah.
or those? What about those people that just literally buy toys and open them? And at this point, they don't even buy a toy because they're sponsored.
Think about that. That's
Getting toys sent to them.
Yeah. So everybody's life and timeline and passion is different. So once you could figure out all those things, it's all. I feel like it's gonna come naturally to you.
Going back to social
Yeah, yeah.
media in general, what would you say is like the good? What would be the good and the bad of social media?
Well, the good obviously is like you're now open to the whole world. You literally could have anybody in the world see your stuff. Think about it. You could put a song out right here in South Denver in that little office over there, and in 10 minutes, someone in Japan is going to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the great. I think the bad is, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to when Instagram removes likes and views and stuff like that, and it goes back to what I like about Instagram. What I look at is like it's just like an art wall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it lets people just be creative versus, oh, I think this will get likes, views, so I'll post this, but I won't post this. Even though I love this picture, or I love this video, I won't post it because it won't get likes or views. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So once those things go away, so I think that is the bad. I think likes and views, I think those are the bad things. And I understand people make their money off that stuff. All for it. Any way you can get your money, get it, do it. But there is a lot of negative effects of that. And you see it on whether it's kids, and that's why they're trying to change social media to find ways for them to get bullied less or not be as cool because this person got 100 likes and this person got 10. So I think there is like a lot of those negative connotations. And the bad too is that you could have a terrible song or a terrible product, but just because you know how to use social media, it's everywhere versus someone who might have the greatest product, greatest quality. And that I guess all falls back into the line of marketing again. But I think, like I said, the best thing obviously is just access to the world, access to people you never might have access to. Like I've talked to people that if social media didn't exist, there's no way I would have got to know them. Like if we're talking about a relationship with Franklin, maybe he didn't know what I was doing or I didn't know what he was doing. We'd had no reason to talk to each other after we got this class. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just a way to discover people outside of just like I'm walking by you or I talked to you one time. You could actually kind of find out a lot about that person based on their social media.
You mentioned that you were going to be starting for Atlantic Records.
Yeah.
In January.
Yeah,
Have you
in a couple
started
weeks.
already or not?
No, the 21st. Super souped.
Yeah.
Like again, I think that goes back to just meeting the right people, getting myself known to them, and learning just like a ton more about the industry. Because even if I decide to do my own thing, now I'm gonna have that knowledge I would have never been able to get. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna meet those people. Like I'm sitting here texting daily with like managers and people that work over there. Not even about music, just building those relationships that I would have never had their number. They never would have responded to me. I would never just be able to text them like, oh, what's good? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but I'm super stupid. I definitely, Atlantic just happened to work perfectly because I was working at the time I was working at this congressman's office, Congressman Pascrell in Patterson. And it just happened that the lady in charge of immigration, her son was a digital marketing manager at Atlantic. And something came up, I forget how, but like one of the people in there was like, oh, Rich does radio. And he was like, do you know so-and-so, her son had a radio station, now he does something in the music industry. I was like, okay, that's cool. But like, I'm not the type of person, run up like, oh, what's good, you know what I'm saying? But then like maybe a week later, she came up to me and she was like, oh, so-and-so was telling me, you do the radio. She's like, oh, you should get to know my son. I'm like, okay, cool. She's like, he works at Atlantic Records. I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like, she's like, oh no, he's a manager over there. I'm like, cool. Literally, she picked up this is your phone. She picked up her phone and called him. Like, it was the most awkward thing because like she just calls him, puts it on speakerphone, and she's like, oh, I'm here with Rich. Like, saying he works here at the congressman's office. Talk to him. So I'm like, yo, what's good? Like, he's like, so what's up? I'm like, and we talked about something else, not even about my show. We talked about something else I was doing. And he's like, okay, cool. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, cause like, here's his mom. Like, it's just like one of those random things. But it goes back to networking. You never know who knows who. This lady was in charge of immigration and her son was the manager at Atlantic Records. And because it was his mom, like, I guess he was like, okay, cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure my mom calls, like, I'd have a little bit more, like, like, okay, I'll talk to them. So she gave me his card and he's like, yeah, just, call me up or email me, whenever. So I actually didn't reach out to him for like 6 months. And then I emailed him. I'm like, oh, it's Rich, the guy who your mom called, like as a subject. Because I'm like, how do I draw this guy's attention? Because it's just an email. I'm sure he gets tons of them, random people. So I was like, oh, I'll make the headline, I was on the phone with you and your mom. He opened it. He's like, yo, what's good? Da, da, da. He gave me his number. We got on the phone, chopped it up. And then maybe like 3 or 4 months later, I hit him up again. Like, I was like, oh, what's up? Can I send my resume in? He's like, yeah, send it right in. Boom, I sent it in. And he set me up with an interview. I didn't have to fill out the application or nothing. He's like, yeah, just come in for an interview. So I came in, did the little interview, and they took me in. And so I started in a couple weeks. And actually, he doesn't even work there no more. Now he works at I think RCA. But it was after my interview. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's like you just got to network. You never know. And I'm super. Oh, so yeah, it worked out. And my favorite artist, A Boogie, is an Atlantic record. So I felt like it was meant to be because I'm like, oh wow. So I met this person who happened to work at the label where my favorite artist, or my favorite artist at the moment, because obviously our artists change and not of all time, but just happens to be a person that. So I'm praying. I'm hoping somehow I'll come to work on a project of his. Maybe he could drop Artist 2.0 in the next few months, and I'll be able to be part of the marketing team that does that, because I'll be doing content partnerships, which is kind of like working with influencers and, partnerships, any kind of content like TikToks, like social media companies and things like that. So,
Bro, that is so dope.
Yeah, so that's just another aspect. So again, even nothing comes out of it other than going there and learning. And now I'm making networks with these influencers, who in turn then, now they know me. I have some kind of credibility outside of just doing this show out of college and say now I'm doing it for a major label, that maybe I could reach out to them later on, and it's just keeping those lines open. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever be like, oh, we met. Can you do this for me? Can you help me? I kind of try to let things happen naturally.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't want to press nothing. Like, I don't want to meet you and your so-and-so big influencer with 1 million people, because you probably have everyone hitting you up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's important just to keep like a friendly relationship versus like a what can you do for your relationship, or I'm only reaching out to you because I know you have so many people following you or so many different jobs doing this and this. You know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't even hit the guy for like 6 months, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just shoot him an email and kind of see what's up. It wasn't like the next day I was calling him 100 times because I had his number now. So, and even when I text with these people, like, I'll shoot a text back and forth for a little bit and then just like end the conversation, not like seem like you're dick riding or begging or desperate. You know what I'm saying?
Which could in turn,
yeah, just makes you. I think it just makes you look bad, because when you seem desperate,
and it could, like I said, just in turn, the opportunity could just disappear for you.
yeah, absolutely. Because then they're gonna be like, oh, he's just here for this. You know what I'm saying? And one of the key things for them when I was interviewing was like you can't be starstruck. You can't be there and be like, oh, so and so's walked in. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like even working at a club with Outside Life, that helps, because, you know what I'm saying, I've been on stage, with Fabulous. I've been on stage with these different artists that come to these clubs to perform, Bad Bunnies and all this stuff. I've walked them in, obviously, Camillo's and all those bigger DJs. And when I see them, or I've been right next to 50 Cent, working with, right there, like, you're saying, watching his section. And it's never like, oh, can I get a picture, this or that? Saying, because you can't do it, it's work,
Exactly.
So I think learning that from those situations translates into a bigger picture. Because, I feel like I love artists, I love their music, but you won't ever see me be like, yo, can I take a picture with you? Because to me, I feel like, it's not no disrespect, but you're a man just like I'm a man. Like, unless you're an absolute legend, like if Jay-Z walked in, if Jay-Z's looking that way, if I could just get to the side and take a picture, I'm taking the goddamn picture. Like, we're doing this. But other than that, and I take obviously pictures with the artists on my shows because that's part of the branding and stuff. But I'm not just gonna run up to you and be like, oh, you're so-and-so, let me get a picture. I feel like you're a man, I'm a man. I respect your craft. I appreciate your craft, and I'll stream your music and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess. I don't know.
I feel you 100%. And you know what? I've learned that from my experience, they appreciate you more when you're not starstruck by them, when you treat them like a regular person,
Yeah, because you got to show them, you're kind of especially if you're doing something like this. Now you guys are doing interviews, and I'm doing interviews. I feel like it kind of just, you gotta feel like you're on the same level. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand, and that's another thing, one of the hardest things I learned too, starting to do interviews, was that, you know what I'm saying, you're doing something for them as much as you're doing something, they're doing something for you. You know what I'm saying? It's in turn. And once I got over that, oh wow, so-and-so agreed to come up to my show, he's looking me out, it kind of started getting more easier and started being more natural, and it creates that respect level that I'm sure you guys, you know what I'm saying, are figuring out and will figure out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're saying, they're like, oh my God, thank you for coming up, oh my God, I can't believe you came up. It just it kind of takes away from what you're doing as well.
Right. I can 100% relate to that, for sure. because at the end, everybody's human at the end of the day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think that's the one thing about interviews that I love, because I don't really watch too many movies, but interviews, documentaries, those type of stuff, like something that you can learn from, is that the type of content that I personally want to watch, right? And also going back to what you said about like artists, how you shouldn't really be, or you don't like to be starstruck and asked to take a picture, because at the end of the day, they are humans. With interviews and stuff like that, like the coolest thing is like you're able to sit down with somebody and have a conversation with them. And I feel like a lot of the times, you know, the fans standing outside the hotel waiting for somebody to walk out the door to get an autograph, they're not they're not remembering who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna get an autograph and run away, and oh my god, I got an autograph. Like you're not even really connecting with the artist.
No,
Being
absolutely.
able to sit down with somebody, have a conversation with them, is just like the cool.
You just learn like their actual story. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. The picture thing is never a disrespectful thing, because I respect the hell out of every artist. I respect anyone. I don't care if you have one listener or like a billion. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you were brave enough to put your creativity out there, and that's not easy. It's not easy whether you're painting a picture or taking a photo, asking for an interview, putting a song out there. Like, the music for a lot of these artists is personal. Like, it's their personal experiences, and they're sharing it with the world. So, it doesn't matter if you have one or a million. Like, I respect that you were brave enough, because it is being brave to put that out there into the world. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're rapping about selling drugs, or you're rapping about a heartbreak, or who you love, or, you know, whatever you're doing, at the end of the day, it's their story, and they're sharing it. You know what I'm saying? How many people are too scared to share even what goes on their daily basis, you know? Because they're fearful of what someone might think about it. Like, oh, that's corny, or oh, that's whack, or oh, you're a bitch, or oh, you know what I'm saying? Fuck that bitch, or fuck that guy, or why, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
But these people are putting it out there for the world to hear.
Alright, let's wrap it up.
All right.
What can we expect from you?
You gotta get the.
Yeah. We good, bro. My bad. I hope this was.
We can sit here and talk all day.
I hope this was interesting. It's different being on this side.
Nah, it's dope. It's like I always, like you said, like about making a conversation like this. It doesn't feel like an interview. It feels like we're just talking about, you know, everything that we're all involved in. So it's dope. It's always nice.
And this is a little different kind of from what you do, because I feel like the type of interviews that you do are more. It's almost like live, right?
Podcast.
Yeah, it's like podcast.
Almost like a podcast.
It's almost like an intro to who they are.
Yeah, and everything, right? Nothing's being cut up. Nothing's being.
Yeah, no,
so it might even be a little harder for you to do the interviews the way that you do them, because you really got to be aware. Like with something like this, right? I could cut out.
Yeah, you can
something
switch
that
the way
might
the
not-
questions.
You know,
Yeah.
I could cut it out. Like how long? Or maybe it was just natural to you, but like I'm just curious. Like, how long did it take you?
No,
for
that's
you
still-
to be 100%.
Still, it's still learning. It's still everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's always learning. Like, I still go back. Like, and I'm sure you guys are too. Like, I'm my hardest critique. You know what I'm saying? I look back. I'm like, oh, that was trash. That was a terrible question. I should have asked that. Oh, I suck at talking on camera. Even this interview, I'm peeping like, damn, my words are slurring. I'm getting thirsty. Like, my mouth is dry. So that's why a couple words I've repeated. You know what I'm saying? But I am in tune enough to know those things. You know what I'm saying? And listen to myself talk. Saying like my ultimate goal is not to be in front of a camera, because I know I'm not the greatest speaker on camera. Like, I know, like, I talk very fast. I know, you know what I'm saying, I got a certain slang or a style where I talk. Like, my words certainly slur at times, or I'm hard to understand. But you got to start somewhere to get your name out there to grow into other things. So I'm still learning. I still have to remind myself, yo, slow down, stop talking so fast. Or ask this question, or try to bring this up. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when the interview is done is when the best conversation happens. I'm like, damn, why didn't I ask that on air? Or why weren't you as open on air? You know what I'm saying? It's just more natural, I guess, once that camera is off.
Yeah, as soon as people walk in the door, I'm like,
Yeah, but
everything just starts hitting you. You're like,
so
oh,
still
damn.
learning. Answer your question, still learning. There's never 100%. I don't feel how could it ever be 100% until I'm getting paid $1 million to do it. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm at 100% because my bank account looks real nice.
Before you go, can you tell us, give us like a hint or like a sneak peek of what we can expect for the next season of the Garden State Hip Hop Hour?
Just more interviews. I don't know, like there's like I'm just gonna continue to grow, try to continue the creating the videography, continue working on that as my cameraman grow as well. Big shout out, like I said, to Gene and Asia. Just trying to get more. Each season, I feel like I get more and more people on the show that people want to be more in tune with. So this season, I believe, like, no one's ever guaranteed, you know what I'm saying? I've talked, you know what I'm saying, to get, like, you know, Sue Surf on the show, Shotgun Suge, damn, my list is on my phone. But, like, just more bigger names, you know what I'm saying? I'm really excited to have, like, if I could definitely 100% get the, you know, Sue Surf or Shotgun, because I do love, you know, the URL and the battle rap. And where I don't feel Jersey is necessarily commercially big worldwide as other places, on the battle rap scene, we are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Clearly with Arsenal being number one
Yeah.
and 3 of the top 10. You know what I'm saying? So I am excited to have those people. Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. I always forget things too. In this season 4, I'm going to have my man Clico Gino. I am chairman of boards. Join with me and, you know, be a co-host for a few episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, I really, he has, you know, just, he touches almost everything big that comes out of Jersey. And all over, he's worked with artists from all over the country, big name artists. If you've seen his interview, you're saying he worked with 50 Cent, he worked with Tory Lanez, he worked with Lil Durk, he works with all these people, you know what I'm saying? And he has such a good viewpoint, and I feel like he's the opposite of me. Because when you do these interviews, you need like different styles.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's gonna be like real good chemistry, and we're gonna be able to bounce off. So that is actually what I'm looking forward to the most. And obviously the contest I'm running now for somebody to win an interview on there. And
Tell us about the contest.
oh, I thought we were wrapping up.
What's up?
Yeah. So I was like, because everyone's always asking me, and you can't get everybody on. And as the show grows, and like I said, back to my brand, and even though I appreciate and respect what every artist is doing, I have to continue to grow the artists I have on there too, bigger name artists, because the brand needs to grow, like with anything. You know what I'm saying? On Genius, Hot 97, they're not having these smaller artists, and it's not no disrespect. That's how I started, but I still want to give the opportunity.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm running contests, you know, saying just follow my page, my videographer's page in the YouTube. And they get an entry into the contest, which I'm going to randomly select, you know, one of those little websites, you type everybody's name in. And what I did to really make it fair against those small artists is most contests are ran like, oh, who gets the most tags? Obviously the person with the biggest audience is going to get those tags. And now you're going to discourage everyone else. Because if I look on it, so person's already got like a million tags, I'm like, what's the point? So this is my chance to make it, you know, just one entry. Everyone has an equal chance. It doesn't matter if you have 5 followers. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million. It just, boom. It's random. It'll be ran live. So it's not like me selecting somebody from this list. So I just felt like that was my way of growing, but still being able to get back to the root of what I was doing and still being able to help, you know, an artist regardless of what the size of your audience is. And it shows me who actually is working and who's actually trying to grow. You know what I'm saying? Because I probably have less than 20% of everybody that reach out to me for an interview enter this contest. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, you're telling me like, and I know, we all know who even my level interview could help or not help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just helps me even going further because now those artists that enter, and I see that because I do pay attention who works and who is trying to grow, it just helps them out with other things. It's that kind of person I'm just going to reach out to, give them random advice, or send them a flyer to a random show that they could perform at, or tag them in posts when artists or other media ask for to tag Jersey artists or tag certain artists. You know what I'm saying? So those little things I'm sure you guys learn and you notice just even goes back to building relationships. And I don't know if artists necessarily pay attention to that or knows that, you know what I'm saying? But we do watch. Because now if you enter my contest and I see stuff that can help you later on, I'm probably going to just shoot it your way or tag you or definitely reshare your stuff. Just because I respect what you're doing. And the fact that you took time to do this means you are actually trying to grow yourself as an artist as well.
Right. Right.
So,
Very last question. Have you ever thought about rapping?
Sure, you want 4, 8, 16?
right now, you want to be more.
What's up? What you got? Thank you for being here,
Oh,
bro.
I will tell you this. So you're going to hang up. So, and this is fucking super embarrassing and super fucking random. But like growing up, like here in South End, boy, I did have like a little studio in my living room where everybody came to. Again, my whole life's been around music. I think I did a cover of Mariah Carey's "We Belong Together," and it went to like #1 in whatever genre I put it on like SoundClick or whatever site I forget what I put it on, like Sound something back in the day. Super random, super embarrassing, but I was like, fuck it. I was like, we belong together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because the studio was right there. We were high as hell, and they're like, yo, just do it. I'm like, fuck it, whatever. You high, like, who cares? And I was like, word, Mariah Carey. I was trying to belt out the lyrics, and it did go #1 for like a day or something like that on the platform I put it on. But that's as far as my musical career has gone.
That's lit.
So.
That's good, man. It's been a pleasure, dude.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. When I see people do interviews, because like doing it solo is super hard. You know
It is,
because
man.
everything is you. Oh yeah, everything is you. Like you don't have like another opinion, or if you're caught and you can't think of nothing at the moment, they could like bounce it. And I've seen that. Like you were caught for a second, and he jump in. You know what I'm saying? Like it just works
It's
really
cool,
well.
and also just like having other perspectives. Like I also like having like an audience, right? Like bro,
That didn't feel like an hour. That's
It
crazy.
did not.